A friend of mine loaned me A Little Life like a year ago and insisted that I have to read it and insisted that it's the greatest book ever. But the more I heard about it and the more I mentioned to people that I was about to read it or that like I'd been given it, they warned me away from it. And the reactions, although most people said it was a brilliant book, most people also say that they wouldn't recommend it still because of how upsetting the content is. So I've ended up not reading it, but the friend who let me borrow it, like, it's starting to feel a little bit insulting and I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. So this weekend we're reading this big scary book and I will be taking you along for the journey. Wish me luck. Before I begin, just as a note, other than what I've mentioned, so the fact this book is scary, I don't really know anything about it. I know that it's set in New York, I know that you fall in love with the characters and then are just repeatedly devastated. And I know that the point of view changes and it can be a little bit challenging to know whose story you're following. One thing I will say though is that I came across quite a good tip. The TikTok algorithm clearly knows too much. It was a video about like tips, like what to do before you read A Little Life, and she actually recommended making notes for the first bit and really trying to understand the characters and how that's like really important to following it and enjoying the book. So I'll be doing that. But yeah, it's Friday afternoon. Let's see what happens. Hello. We are not very far in at all. If I'm being honest, I was meant to read it last night, like have a big session and chill out and just do loads of reading. But I ended up watching Bridgerton for the first time, which was a mistake. Bridgerton's not very good. I didn't think it would be good, but I don't know. I thought it would be marginally better. But yeah, that's how I spent my evening. And so I'm only like 50 something pages in. I am enjoying it so far, to be fair. We're currently just getting to know the characters and I find the writing really enjoyable. It's quite sort of digestible. The pictures are very like vivid of each individual. We're currently following 4 guys and I think that's the whole book, so I'm appreciative of that. Like the point of view changes a bit and we talk about each person at each point, and I'm just really trying to focus on understanding each character and knowing exactly what, like who I'm talking about at each point, because I find sometimes when I'm reading books with switching point of views or lots of characters, I sometimes get like 2 pages into a chapter, into a part, and I realise I just like haven't fully understood who we're talking about for 2 pages. So I'm just trying to focus very hard. And also, if I'm being honest, I think a part of why I haven't made loads of progress is because I'm scared. If scary bad things happen in films or TV or books, I do get quite distressed by it. So I think all of the hype and what everyone said around this book is making me read it slower because I'm scared. I'm scared for what's gonna happen, because I just know they're gonna build up these characters and just destroy them, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want to grow attached. I might be imagining it, but I think you stop being told explicitly which point of view is like each character, and you're meant to just like understand from the context. So the book is actually, I'm gonna explain this to you. The book is split into 7 parts, and I am still in the first part, but I'm interested to see how it differs between parts. Obviously I imagine the tone is going to differ between parts and the level of joy, but yeah, we'll see. Hello. Oh, it is Sunday morning. I'm 150 pages in. I'm into the second of the 7 parts. I'm finding it good, but it is actually quite slow moving. I think obviously that's an artistic choice, but especially given the subject matter, like it is feeling a bit, it's a bit of a trudge for me. Maybe I'm just not big brain enough to to get the most out of it. It's definitely going to take way longer to read than I thought it would. I also think just because the book's big, like the pages are a lot bigger, because I was like, oh, it's fine, the font's not too small, but I actually just feel like it's just taking a while. But it also feels like one of those books where you have to give it quite a lot of time. And the writing is very good. You know, the characters are really thoroughly explored. I quite enjoy how it's jumping around timelines wise, but that aspect of it is actually really easy to follow. They'll be talking about the present day and then refer to something and then jump back and then, you know, back and forth, and I'm finding it actually very manageable. And as I said, because you have these very clearly four main characters, that's also making it like easy to read. But yeah, I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive, to be honest. What, like 500, 600 more pages left, and I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so I have had a think, and I have a theory, a part of why I'm finding it so difficult to read, and because the writing is really good, but I just think that because I've heard that this book is really difficult and just like emotionally challenging, I feel like I'm not letting myself get really attached to the characters, and I'm like really actively keeping an emotional distance in a way that I don't with other books, and I think that's stopping me from caring about the characters as much as I would, and therefore is stopping me from enjoying the book as much and kind of wanting to read it as much. I don't know if I'm just deeping it, but I really, just knowing myself, I feel like that's quite a likely scenario. Hello, sorry it's a bit dark behind me, dark and ominous. So I'm about a third of the way through and it has picked up. It was becoming a bit of a trudge and I was actually getting a bit worried. It still felt worth continuing reading, but I wanted to enjoy myself, you know, and I wasn't fully enjoying myself. First part of the book is kind of building up the four friends at the centre of the novel, and then at around page 200, like 180, it suddenly changed point of view, and I actually think that really kind of invigorated me. It gave a first person POV, whereas before it had kind of been third person but intimate, and jumping from character to character, but this time it was first person, and it also was referring to a him. It was as though the voice was in conversation directly with someone, and that was just very intimate. It's definitely incredibly beautifully written. I was just finding it a bit hard at first, I guess, but yeah. It's just really sad. It's a really sad book, and I don't think it's getting any less sad, and I don't like reading too much sadness. I'm gonna have to read something slightly more optimistic after this, I think. Hello, it is Wednesday. I have taken like a 2-day break. I did loads of reading on Sunday and got to about halfway through, and I just found it really hard. It's very bleak and I think we knew that, but it's more that the writing is really good, and it's very kind of immersive, which is obviously good because you're reading a book and you want to be immersed in the world, but it's also means it's quite emotionally draining. Like, I want to read it in these chunks because you want to warm up into the world, but then I also don't have the stamina to just read it kind of back to back. So my compromise is I read a lot on Saturday, a lot on Sunday. I've now had a break and I'm gonna hopefully do quite a lot of reading today. So yeah, let's see how it goes. It's really depressing, and I don't know, if this was a TV series I would have given up on it, because I really don't like, I don't know, it makes me cringe, as in like seeing them, and I wonder if the level of detail is needed. a lot of this stuff could be implied or could be unsaid, like a lot of the detail, but I don't know whether I'm just being sensitive or whether it's like a valid point. I'm curious to see like what everyone else thinks, and also I'm curious to do some googling after. A lot of people on the internet probably have a lot to say about this book. But yeah, anyway, sitting on my sofa, my favourite reading sofa, and yeah, I'm gonna start my afternoon of reading. See you later. Hello. So I forgot to mention, so as I said, I'm finding it quite hard to read, but one thing that's really keeping me going is the chapters that are in the first person, and they're in Harold's voice, and Harold is talking to Wilhelm. I don't know why these chapters are so helping me enjoy the read a bit more. I think it might just be because you're being like directly spoken to, but also because Harold is quite balanced and optimistic, and so it's kind of light relief. But I don't know, if I guess also because you're being spoken to directly, you don't feel as much of a distance. When it's third person, you're kind of watching it go by, and there's something almost more bleak about just watching it go by versus being spoken to directly about it. It's also clear that like the first person bits are in the past tense, so and he's clearly kind of talking about everything that's happened, so I don't know, maybe there's a relief in the feeling that it's over. So yeah, just quite interesting, thought I'd mention. I couldn't help myself. I had a little bit of a Google and I was very validated in my opinions. Apparently it's a pretty common discussion, is whether a lot of the detail in this book is gratuitous, and yeah, so that was reassuring in a way. I'm always conscious that I'm just overreacting because I know that I get really upset by stuff. Anyway, it's a beautiful day and I've just been sitting inside all afternoon reading this book, which isn't, you know, I think I need to leave the house. But I am gonna go for a run, and I need to eat first, and I'm gonna have an inappropriately late coffee. It's currently like 4 p.m, but I'm feeling a little bit crazy, so I'm gonna have a little coffee, a little snack, and then read a bit more while I digest, and then I'll go on my run, because I think that's a good idea. Look at the weather, the tree. Guys, we're almost there. I'm on page like 630, so we're into the last 100, and yeah, I'm just so divided in my soul because it is just really well written, but it's grisly, and some of the grizzle I do question if it's necessary. I question if it's like respecting the topics at hand, if that makes sense. But I can't deny that it's incredibly written and the characters are so vivid, and the way it kind of takes you from kind of one point of view to another is really natural. Like it flows really nicely. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of things, and I can't believe we're almost there. I can't believe this is nearing the end of the story, but let's hope nothing completely horrendous happens in the last 80 pages, because we've already had, it's a lot. This book is a lot. But yeah, I'm just drinking my tea. I'm drinking Welsh breakfast today. Should I show it to you? It's like in its little strainer right now, so still brewing. Okay, so I'm into the last 20 pages, and I don't know whether it's because I've just been beaten to a pulp emotionally, or whether it's because it actually does feel like this, but I feel like maybe we're gonna end on a high. I don't know, I don't want to tempt fate. Anyway, let me just show you my setup for the finale. Okay, it's done, it's finished, and this light is incredibly aggressive. Let me just... So, A Little Life is a book that I've finished reading. And yeah, like people always talk about the ending. The ending doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. And that's just what I'm gonna tell you because I don't actually want to spoil too much in this video. I'm gonna save the juicy thoughts for my book club video. We're gonna go into it then in a week or so, but for now I just want to leave you with the fact that I'm incredibly conflicted. I feel like when I was criticizing it earlier for being really gratuitous, I still stand by that, but I don't know whether I just became a bit more numb to it, but it felt like it didn't get, it like got lost. Sorry, it got less gory, but it is pretty undeniable that this is an incredibly well-written book. I think what particularly got me, I found the first person chapters the most gripping and the most enjoyable to read. But in part because Harold is a great character, he's lovely and I'm attached to him and it was his voice. But they became more interesting and like as things evolved, a lot more dimension was added to that voice. So looking forward to talking about it. I'm just gonna go, I don't even know. Well, Massey's making sausage pasta in the other room, but emotionally, I don't know what to do with myself. So thank you for watching this vlog. I hope it's been interesting. Let me know, like, I'm not sure about spoilers. Let me know whether this was an appropriate amount of spoiling or whether it was annoying. Thanks for watching, goodbye.